TikTok. It's time to rock. It's the Sunday show here on the channel. It's the show that we look forward to the most, where it's the three hosts who get together, who are the backbone of this channel. I must say, gotta be. If we're not the backbone, we're the front bone. We've got a couple of guys who are certainly clickbaits for the channel. So.
with the ribs of the show.
Oh, the ribs. Something. The wheels, something. Anyway, we're here. We're looking forward to doing part 2. But good to see you, Brad. Good to see you, brother.
Yeah, it's good to be here, and well done on the show this morning, guys. That was a good show.
Thank you very much. That was good. Yeah. Really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you haven't already watched it, people go and watch it. I think you guys streamed it about 4:30 this morning at Melbourne time.
Yeah.
Yes. Why weren't you awake?
I'm glad you didn't invite me to that one. I would have probably, declined.
No,
when we do the, we were organising this organised chaos show. Brad, we don't do that a lot on this channel. We only do it normally at Christmas time or when there's special occasions, and this is certainly going to be a special occasion. It's going to be the pre-show launch of that Fleetwood MacBook. So we're going to get yourself on, myself, the Rock Professor. We're going to get Jeff on. We're going to get Robert on. We're going to get Curtis on, and we're going to get Michael Freeman on. Simon, is there anyone else? Anyone else that we've missed?
No, Bob, Jeff, Michael, Curtis.
Sounds like a whole lot of fun and a whole lot of chaos.
I'm thinking of leaving Andrew to it.
Oh, look, we'll see. Yeah, well, we'll do something. It should be good. We'll give it a go. We'll give it a go.
Andrew needs to be on the channel, mate. So we'll just sit in the background and look pretty, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you guys.
That's it, yeah.
I've got to do a couple of shout-outs, guys, while I remember, because I'm getting old and I didn't take any notes. So we have to do a shout-out. We did a small little video on the channel here a couple of days ago. An important figure for our channel, one of the greatest frontmen ever in rock and roll, without a doubt. Gosh, Simon, how old is he? How old did Mick Jagger turn? 80?
No, I don't know. He wasn't that old.
79?
Yeah, some of that. Hang on. I, like you, took no notes and forgotten.
Yeah, I think 79.
Yeah, he's not 80 yet, is he? Because it's
No, 79. Definitely 79. My brain has clicked in. And what's really interesting about Mick Jagger, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are familiar with the channel, we've had on the channel a couple of times a guy called Richard Fox, one of the world's foremost collectors in all things Rolling Stones, who's still over in Europe. I think he's seen the Rolling Stones, 8 times already over the last month and a bit, so he's still over in Europe. Brad, he's going to come back and he's going to spend a couple of hours telling us all about his travels and bits and pieces over there. So we look forward to that. So we want to do a special shout out to Foxy as well. Stay safe, brother. Keep out of trouble. And come back with some good stories. We also want to do a shout out to Jimmy
Vaughan.
Jimmy
Vaughan.
Yeah. The great
his
Jimmy
birthday.
Vaughan. Yes. The great Jimmy Vaughan. But so how you guys been anyway? Other than that, you guys been busy this week?
Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah, absolutely. It's been crazy busy at work. Crazy busy.
Yes.
I'm setting up a new thing, so that's keeping me entertained.
Awesome.
Yes, well, it's definitely been busy here in Melbourne, but looking forward to today's show.
Cool. We're also, ladies and gentlemen, I think 50 subscribers off another milestone for the channel. 5K subscribers. So we really appreciate the fact that a lot of people out there have supported our channel and what we do. It's fantastic. It's always pleasing and humbled to see that, Simon. We get to say that quite a lot, on a weekly basis now. These little milestones that we seem to be getting together on the channel, but they're no less important this week than they were last week, Brad.
100%. It's just astounding, the subscription rate we're getting, which is, it's a credit to everyone involved, including the people that are watching in the chat right now and the people that are sharing afterwards, the people that will watch our shows back. We get great views on our shows, and we can't be more grateful. So we've got to say we're extremely grateful at the moment, and keep it going. And this channel is going to get stronger and bigger and better.
Yeah. If you guys haven't already subscribed and you are watching on a playback, please subscribe. We'll always ask for a subscription, and the Rock Professor will always tell you that we subscribe back too. So we're not a channel that solicits subscriptions. We'll always do everything we can to give you a sub back, and we ask, please, if you can go and check out our friends on our channels page as well. We've got a lot of friends there. Go and subscribe to all their channels, support them, flick them a message when you subscribe in the comments and say that Brad, the Rock Professor, and Andrew sent you guys there, and I'm sure they'll be happy to hear from you.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, absolutely.
So guys, you guys been getting into the second part of Celebration Day like I have been?
I'm going to answer quickly before the Rock Professor gets in. I'm going to say I've been blown away by it. I think this is in my top 3 DVDs, and I look forward to doing a bit of a conclusion with you. I'm not going to say it all, but jeepers, what a monumental piece of work, Simon.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And you can tell from how long it took to get it out, how long it took to organise, but get it right. But I think it's a credit, particularly to Jimmy Page, that how good it is, the package is, and how good it all is. His overseeing of it, and I found some stuff about it, and he would, he oversaw it all, and and had a very clear idea about what it should sound like, what it should be like, which I think is one of his great strengths. Jimmy Page is, he knows, and we can benefit from that. So I think it's I've got it here. It's an amazing package, an amazing event as well.
Yeah,
we can get in that and get more into that later. But I think a kind of in many ways a kind of template on how to do these things properly, how to do them well, how to organise them, so that it showcases the band in the best possible light, and you don't ruin the legacy, because clearly some of the other things they didn't go quite as well, because they didn't put enough effort into it beforehand and things, and people weren't quite into it or whatever. So I think this is proof that, like all the things we do, like this show, we all do hours of research and listening and thinking about it in that right, because we want to make the show as successful as possible. And the same, if you want to do a month's worth of preparation and and rehearsals, for a gig, that's a good idea. If you think you can just turn up and do it, it doesn't matter who you are and how good you are, it's not going to go that well, is it? Brad, you'll know that as a musician. Preparation is everything, isn't it?
Well, look, they obviously prepared a lot for it. I mean, I've got the package that has the Blu-ray and the DVD, which of the rehearsal. So I watched the rehearsal this week as well. Late at night, just had it on. I didn't see every single thing because I had it on in the background while I was doing things. And one bit after one of the songs where I think it's after Since I've Been Loving You, Robert Plant goes, "Are you recording this?" to whoever was recording. And they go, yeah. And he goes, good, because I don't think we've played that as good as that since 1910, like as a joke. Yeah. Obviously, we're in the depth of rehearsing and really focused on doing it the best they can. So, full credit to the guys. They did an amazing job, and it's quite clear when you watch even the rehearsal tapes. They were really focused. They were really focused to make this as good as it was.
Well, I think it's it's important that that clearly they realise that that's the sort of thing they'd have to do. That's the sort of work they'd have to do to get it right, and and they did it, and it shows in every aspect of their performance and every aspect of the production, sound quality, and everything. That they pulled it off. And I have I've certainly listened to. I went back and listened to a couple of reviews of the night. All saying how extraordinary it was and how brilliantly they played and everything like that. And I think that the CDs, DVD, they bear that out. It's right up there, isn't it? Right up there with Song Remains the Same. It's a bit different, but it's not any.
I said this about the Clapton one, back to the blues one. Nothing but the blues we did, but I think this again. You have to see the visual of this to really capture the moment. Just an audio of the recordings would be cool, but to really capture what's happening there, the visual side of it takes a big presence, So if you haven't watched this, I highly recommend you watch it, because you can clearly see the interaction. You're watching, the pride of Robert Plant when the other guys are soloing and doing their things, and they're watching each other, their starts, the finishes. I had to chuckle, how close they get around Jason's drum kit. So great.
How keen I am on that, Brad. Because to me that says it's a band. When you all huddle around playing in there, back to the audience and everyone's facing Jason Bonham. It's like that's when the band is really going and really performing. And I think it's really those things, those moments you so rightly say. When you see it, you understand. It's like look, they're not spread out over there and over here. It's like they're all right up in it. Inches from each other. Kind of so that it's so that it's tight and it's focused and it's organised, awesome. Which is really good. Yeah.
So what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is. I kicked off the rankings last week. Brad's going to kick them off this week, followed by myself and the Rock Professor. And as usual, we invite you to give your ranks and your opinions on the songs. I don't think there is any warning we need to give this week that we thought that we were compelled to give on the show last week. I'm pretty confident that we're going to be fine talking about the tracks. Well, I'm assuming we're going to be fine. But I'm certainly looking forward to what my hosts have to say, and obviously everybody in the chat. Simon, before Brad kicks off, we've got 8 people watching us. I know you love to do a shout out. Do you want to do a shout out to the people that are here with us?
I do. Yes, I do. I should go back to the top because I know that we have a few people like so Tim Thomas. Good morning, Tim. Greg Zeppelin. Good morning. Hope you're good. We've got Ellen as ever. Good morning, Ellen. Hope you're well. And down under, still under a nom de plume, Ellen Toll. And managed to get your old thing back. Ellen, bad luck. Under the Bus Network. Thanks for dropping by, guys. Good to see you. We've got Arvin, of course. Good morning, Arvin. Hope you're good. Tim Thomas, Robert Ranford just dropped by as well. Good morning, Robert. Good to see you too. So I think that's everybody that's made a comment. So good morning all, and hope we're all well. And thanks for dropping by to watch the show.
There's one more shout out I want to do, guys, and that's to Buddy Guy. Happy birthday, Buddy Guy.
Buddy Guy, still going.
86.
Blues legend.
Absolute blues legend, and I'm going to try and get along to see him this year too. I've seen him once. Yeah, I saw him.
Is he coming? Is he coming to Australia? Is he? Well done.
Yeah, I saw him about 8-10 years ago. I can't remember how long ago it was when he came to the Blues Fest in Byron Bay last time he came, and it was like watching history unfold in front of me on stage. That's all I'll say. It was magic.
Yeah.
His band were cooking too, man. Wow, that was a good night.
We look forward to you going, if you can get a ticket, bro, and maybe taking some pics and getting back and giving us an in-depth review. We might even do a show on it when you get back. I think it deserves it. What do you reckon, Simon?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. He's one of the last of the old blues guys, isn't he? Can't think of many others that are still alive these days. Still going.
Yeah, 86 years young.
Wow. Well, I look forward to
Still
that, bro.
Doing it 86.
I do hope that you get there. And boy, if he can't get a ticket and he's in Melbourne that weekend, we should organise a show. We should at least celebrate the fact that he's an Aussie in Melbourne in your town if he can't get a ticket. I think we should do that at least.
I'll definitely be doing my best to get a ticket. I'll have to investigate when the tickets. I think they might even be on sale now.
All right, cool.
Oh well, we wish you well. We wish you well on that.
So if I duck off during the show here, it means I've gone to check the ticket sales. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. Well, and we should say good morning to Quentin, who entered us all into the $1 billion draw, and surprisingly, we didn't win. So back to work on Monday, kids. Back to work on Monday, kids. Yes, Quentin, good work. Thank you so much. Tremendous amount of fun that was.
I thought you were going to say that you're going to shoot off and go and grab a burger, bro. Sorry. I think,
What? Oh, no. I'm having a burger at 7:58 a.m. There's nowhere open to drive through here.
No, I thought Brad was when Brad said that he had to shoot off. Yeah, I thought Brad was going to quickly.
Stop that, Mr. Walton. Stop that now. Behave yourself, please, at the back.
Cheeky, Andrew, with your In-N-Out burger and your clickbaits.
Back to work, Brad. Boy, you're going to get me into trouble. Look, I'm not kicking this show off, Brad. Hey, we were just complimenting Brad. This is serious, though, ladies and gentlemen. This is serious. We're going to take a couple of seconds out. Look at that fine specimen of a man. Wasn't that long ago? He was. He had some serious health issues. Look at him, doing well, bro.
Picture of health.
Thank you.
Well
guys.
done.
Yeah.
I'll take that as a compliment coming from you, handsome gentleman. Don't forget, Andrew, there's 3 clickbaits, mate, not just me. So I think you should click up on you as well. So.
Where?
Yeah. Oh, we do have a bit of fun here. That's good.
Okay, well, let's get this thing back on track, guys, because we do usually have a format, and we usually do have something to talk about. So let's get back on it. Okay. So where are we at, guys? We're up to Since I've Been Loving You with the rankings.
Yep.
Yes, indeed.
So I'll start it off. Look, obviously, Since I've Been Loving You is one of my all-time favorite songs of Led Zeppelin when it comes to blues. I love this. Epitomizes the blues for me with Led Zeppelin, the way they did this. And on this particular night, like those very first notes of the song that Jimmy Page plays just gives you goosebumps. Yeah, I remember watching Page and Plant back in the 90s, in the mid-90s, and both nights I almost broke down crying, not like a baby, but tears were almost flowing because of those. It was just so emotional. And it almost happened the same thing just watching the Blu-ray. And I've got to say, Jimmy Page plays in a unique bluesy way. And no one else really plays like him. A lot of people try and emulate him, but no one can actually do it like him. And Jonesy, when Jonesy and Jason come in on a doom, doom, it just sounds massive. It's so mellow. It's just goosebump material for me. We get some really good close-ups of John Paul Jones playing the bass with his feet while he's playing the keyboards.
Yeah, that was amazing. That wasn't it?
That's why I'm saying the visual of this is so important and imperative to watch, not just the audio, guys. You've got to watch the visual. These are mature men, and they're still playing and performing like they did in the 70s. It's just unreal. And we get those really cool close-ups of his lovely boots, John Paul Jones, by the way. I think I'm going to try to adopt those. When Robert comes in singing, he's channeling more of a 1973 version of himself. He's singing more like in the Songwriters the Same. He's trying to channel that for this song, and I love that. He's really, giving it. Jason holds back on the beat of the drums. He's not really pushing it. He's dynamically, he's really holding back. Yeah, a little bit more than his dad did. He's just really holding that back. For me, John Paul Jones is really shining at this point. It's then when the guitar solo comes in, obviously the vocals are outstanding. The way they're performing the song, when the solo comes in, the guitar solo, it's really laid back. Like they almost bring it down so dynamically where it's almost really quiet, which is, normally Page would blister into a flurry of notes. And for me, this was really cool how they did this, because Page plays a little differently these days. So they compensated for that in a really, really cool way. They brought it down, and I love that. The mood of the song, the solo just completely goes down, but then it builds up to that point where Jimmy Page is just bending and he's weaving across the Les Paul neck. Look, for me, this is a masterpiece, and all members of the band are owning this song equally. And I full credit to all the guys, but Jason Bonham as well. 10 out of 10, never a skip for me. Andrew.
What a wonderful, wonderful introduction to the Ranking the Tracks. And ladies and gentlemen, if you are live here and watching the replay, one of the greatest privileges I have is being able to sit back and listen to what Brad and the Rock Professor have to say. You guys are amazing. Every week you guys amaze me with your analysis and appreciation of the tracks that we talk about. And I mean that sincerely. Brad, look, I have to agree with you on your introduction, and I think this is going to be a current theme for all of us about the visual aspect of this package. I have to back Brad up 100%, for us to fully grasp the monumental effort of this work, this piece of art. You've got to go and see it. So I have to back Brad up. Go and get it on Amazon. On an Apple, or get the DVD copy or the Blu-ray copy. You won't be disappointed. Brad, my notes are pretty simple here. Fantastic photography of Page playing. It catches the intensity and the fire of his playing. That's what I like about it. It's catching that essence that we've been listening to for years and years and years with Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
I swear the way that they've photographed this with the camera just to catch his playing certainly was done by someone that's a guitar player. They certainly took notice of what's been happening over the last 10, 15 years with concert footage, making sure they catch that. And watching this again in preparation for this week just reinforced that for me, Rock Professor. And I swear too that Plant didn't stop looking at Jimmy Page during his solos. I swear Plant was just standing there looking at him. I don't think he took his eyes off him. And what does that tell you? I've done the same thing as Brad. I've given it a 10 out of 10 too. Never a skip. wonderful thrill for me to get back and immerse myself into this DVD for the week. Simon.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, how the little things. The one thing I'd say about the Song Remains the Same version is it doesn't start off with that that little, that little like, and that I think is like, it's such a signature opening. I always, when I watch the Song Remains the Same, always disappointed that he doesn't play it on that, whereas this time he played it. The proper beginning, that lovely little, what's it, 6-note phrase or whatever it is. Is the signature to the song. I think that so that was really, really pleasing to see that again, hear and see it again. I think that for me, this is, people could talk about Stairway to Heaven and Kashmir and stuff. I think this is, one of their great masterpieces. It's a bit of the unsung masterpiece. I think, is on Led Zeppelin 3. It's an extraordinary exercise in how to modernize the blues. It's not a straight 12 bar by a distance, and yet it is the blues. But I think it's one of those milestones in playing blues that and the modernization of it, and leading into what people do these days, which is much less following that straight 12 bar form and spreading it out a bit. And I think that is one of its most extraordinary things. So it's I've listened to the one on Led Zeppelin 3 hundreds of times, and consider it an absolute masterpiece. I think you're right. I think Page, I don't know whether it's the combination of having broken his little finger a month or so beforehand, made him play slightly differently, but still, no one plays like him, do they? No one does the dynamics like Page. It's amazing. I know, Andrew, you showed a picture of the pedal board last week, which has got some, but it actually hasn't got that many things on it, and he's still, still basically it's a Les Paul into a Marshall Orange, whatever, into an amp and playing, and then you play with the tone knobs and you play with the volume knobs to get what you want. And that extraordinary kind of dynamic playing that he was doing here, was doing back in the day as well. I find it mesmerizing, that, particularly, the more I listen to him, the better player I think he is, and the more extraordinary I think that stuff is, the emotion he brings to it, and that understanding of the dynamics, loud, quiet, and as you say, they build it up and then take it down, build it up, and it's, as I've said on here quite a lot of times, to make 9 minutes interesting, dynamic, and engaging in that way all the way through, and make you think it's only 5 minutes, is something of an extraordinary feat in my books, and I'm always amazed by that, as and I'm still trying to figure out what mindset you have if you go on and you're going to play a 25-minute version. I know they don't do it so much on here, but if you're going to do, how you figure out as a guitar player, as a musician, right, I've got 25 minutes of what I'm going to play, even if you divide up into sections, all those things, you're still going to have to play something inventive in each of those sections. I find it extraordinary, and I think that that he is in the vanguard of musicians who've worked out how to do that, in some way. So it's I love the way that that at the end, Page goes right across the other side of the stage and goes and stands by Jones, and his keyboard. So he's not standing by that; he's gone the other way. He's standing over there towards the end of it, so that again they're all huddled together, on that side of the stage. Yeah. It's a 10 out of 10 and never a skip. As I say, it's one of their greatest tracks, and they do it justice. And I think that, I'd say this about this, that the fact that they haven't done 25-minute versions of anything, I think is good to stick with more like the recorded versions of things in terms of length and things. I think was a really good move, and actually enhances it, and not, doesn't, I don't wish for a 25-minute version of Dazed and Confused. I think that it's figure it out and cut it down to manageable things was a really good idea, you know, because it makes them focused, which is brilliant. So yeah, 10 out of 10, never a skip from me, a masterpiece.
So we're all on the same page, guys.
Yep. Alan's given a 10 out of 10. I just want to do a quick shout out. We've got Crappy Luxury in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. G'day, Crappy.
Morning, Crappy. Yep.
Awesome. We're on the same. Brad Bay.
That's it.
We're on the same Jimmy.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Brad.
Yeah, we're up to Dazed and Confused, gentlemen. So, look, John Paul Jones, the way he starts off, those descending notes. I mean, if that doesn't sort of get you revved up and ready for an onslaught and a journey ahead, then I don't know what else will. I mean, it starts off the little, the harmonic notes that Jimmy Page does on the neck, and they cut that short. Robert Plant comes in very quickly. It's like they wanted to keep it short and sweet, and they've obviously structured this song in a way that keeps it fairly fluid, and actually ends without going for half an hour, which is what you were on. So, Robert Plant comes in, starts singing very quickly, and Jason really plays off Robert's vocal syncopation a lot more than, say, John Bonham would, his dad would. That's something Jason does really well, and the vibe of the song is a lot mellower. The accents are up and they sort of bring things down. Obviously, when Jimmy Page goes into his violin bow solo, they drop down. They let Jimmy Page have that. The spotlight, obviously, he's got the laser lights on him. He's doing the whole thing. And what astounded me was when you watch it, you can see the chemistry with Robert Plant and Jimmy Page in this is right there. That they were right in the pocket. They knew exactly what to do with each other. Jimmy Page, obviously, when he starts doing his ding dings, ding dings, and all that, and then he starts doing and Robert would mimic it. Yeah, so they're playing off each other. They've got this really good chemistry. And you can see it on stage. It brings a smile to everyone's face on stage. You can see they're all loving it. Yeah, so that whole thing of the laser light around it when he's got the wah pedal on, but that call and response. But I tell you what, the band, John Paul Jones, Jason, Page, and Plant, they're very tight in this song. There's one little muck up they do coming out of a section, which I'll sort of leave because that's rock and roll. It's okay. I'm not going to knock it. But overall, it's a very structured Dazed and Confused compared to, say, Song Remains the Same version, even though there were structured sections. Very loose and jammy as well, where this is a little bit tighter. I have to give this a 9 out of 10 for me. It's never a skip. Definitely never a skip. Andrew?
Yeah, bro. Fascinating. This is my turn to jump on and talk about Jason and his contribution. My co-hosts have done that on quite a few songs. So, in my opinion, this song wouldn't be the song that it is without Jason's contribution. Jason interpreted his father's contribution to this song in his own way, and it's just fantastic because it's certainly a song that needs that punch, that momentum. It's a rock epic, and well done to Jason for that. A couple of observations, guys, I want to share with you. Wasn't it interesting when the crowd cheers when Page pulls out
yes,
his magic wand.
the bow.
You know,
Yes, absolutely.
No, he's a magician. You know, and he's casting magic with that bow, with that
a musician.
wand.
There we are.
He's a
amalgamation of musician and magician. Well done.
Yeah. So he's you know, and Brad's mentioned that too with, you know, the laser magic square circle that he's got around him. You know, there's a lot of symbolism going on there that I think is crucial to who Page is as a man. And we've discussed this on other shows about Led Zeppelin. We can discuss it on future shows too, I'm sure. Isn't it interesting too how we get told by Plant that there are some, you know, when they got together, there just had to be some songs when they were constructing the song sheet that had to be included. And clearly, you know, we're getting that with the rest of the songs on this DVD. Simon, I noticed one thing too, you know, back in the old days when you used to go to rock concerts, if people weren't smoking joints, they were flicking lighters and moving the lighters, Brad, you know. I'm sure we've all done that, you know, over the years at different concerts. But on this gig here, what they do now is, did you guys notice, it's the cameras. And the way that they've got the main camera skirting behind, just above head length of the people in the crowd, catching them and sort of giving that impression, you know, that they're, you know, that's the new cigarette lighter, ladies and gentlemen. It's the welcome to the new millennium. This is what we're doing. That's my interpretation, anyway.
It's what they call blue face, isn't it?
Yeah, and I love it. I love that because they bring that in there. Brad, as a visual masterpiece, again, sorry to repeat myself, I think it's just fantastic. It connects all the dots for me. I, too, like my co-host, have given it a 9 out of 10 as well. And I'm going to pass that over to the rock professor. Jonas, thank you for joining us. We saw you here last week with us. Thank you for coming back.
Yeah, good morning, Jonas. Yeah, hope you're good. Thanks for coming back. Yes, I think, you know, I'd say that that Plant particularly, I think, handles this really well, because I think there could be a lot of vocal gymnastics in this song, and I think he doesn't blow it, he doesn't try too much, you know, keeps it within what he can currently do, and I think that's really important myself, you know. I think, you know, the recognizing your limitations, and then, you know, you can go to the edge a bit, but you don't want to blow it up, do you? You know, by doing something terrible, you know, going for something that you're not going to get to. And I think he does fantastically well on this to give it, you know, all the passion and all the dramatics and all the vocal gymnastics, but staying within what he can do today, not what he could do when he was, you know, back in 1973, whatever. So I put a big shout in for Robert for that. You know, I agree with. I think that there's tremendous kind of interplay between the drumming and the guitars. I think that's speaks of how integrated Jason Bonham is with the Led Zeppelin as a band, and their kind of simpatico as musicians. I think that's extraordinary. I love the cheer for the bow. That's a tremendous thing. And the other thing that struck me about it was that I love the fact that Page is not afraid of like sonic sounds, just making sonic sounds. They don't have to be melodic or some of it's melodic, but some of it's quite kind of just feedbacky, kind of, you know, making sounds and kind of, you know, and just having a soundscape in many ways. So I think that is really cool, and, you know, and really pushes the in a way that I don't think many modern guitarists do that in the same way. You know, a lot of modern guitarists, they play fantastically, but they don't quite, you know, I think you've got to go to someone like Radiohead or someone like that, you know, Ed O'Brien does a lot of kind of, you know, sonic stuff to get where Page is, and Page was doing it a long time ago. And I think that's really cool, all of that stuff. Because I think it adds to the drama. I think it gives it a dramatic, feel and effect that just playing doesn't. There's more than that. And I think that it's a fantastic rendition. I too have given it 9 out of 10, and never a skip. I think they do a fantastic job with it because it's an epic song, and they've done it epically in the past. And to keep up with that, hats off to them for that completely.
Well done. Well done. And I think I saw a score here, Brad, from Ellen as well. And I think she has scored like us as well, a 9.
Yes,
so
9.
I don't think there's going to be any timeouts on this show for anybody in the chat too. So, Brad.
Yes. Well, we're up to the one and only song that Robert Plant would always shy away from wanting to perform this song post Zeppelin. And I have to say, from the very opening notes on the guitar, the crowd obviously loves it. Robert's voice sounds like a man that's really proud. He's giving 200% effort into the delivery of the song. Isn't it wonderful to hear Jimmy Page open up those few notes, the moving chordal arrangement he came up with all those years ago. He's playing it with his finger picking. Yeah, I noticed that instead of hybrid picking, he's playing finger picking, which is something that obviously does on the acoustic a lot. And I thought that the tone of that SG double neck, doesn't that thing sound fantastic? It's just absolutely fantastic.
And in tune. And in tune as well.
Yeah. John Paul Jones, I mean, he's there on the keyboards, coloring and texturing. He brings that dynamic to the song that has to be there. When Jason Bonham comes in, the song really takes shape. Yeah, it's one of those songs that, as Robert Plant alluded to before, Dazed and Confused, there's songs they had to play, and this is definitely one of them. They would have had to play this song, or it probably would not have gone down too well. I can almost guarantee it. So, Jason comes in, the song's sounding fantastic by that point. The band are really tight. Robert Plant singing fantastic. They're so tight, it sounds almost reminiscent of that 73 era when they were playing really, really well together. And Jason, I noticed one thing: he's drumming in the song. He's keeping it fairly traditional, like to what his father was doing, but he does bring a lot of his own character into the songs, and I love that. Obviously he can't play exactly like his dad because no one can. Yeah, his dad was, in my opinion, the greatest rock and roll drummer of all time. So they're big shoes to fill. Yeah, they're not just stepping in and playing drums for just some average drummer. You're stepping in and playing drums for probably the greatest drummer of all time, in my opinion. So well done, Jason. The guitar solo, that comes in, in the signature way he sort of plays those chords leading up to it, and then the solo kicks in. We hear that signature guitar run that unless it's played correctly, it doesn't sound right. You know the run I'm talking about. And it keeps that almost like he's trying to play like the recording a little bit. I noticed he's trying to keep the solo close to the recorded version on Led Zeppelin 4 more so than extending a jam or anything like that. He wraps the solo up fairly quickly, and they come into the ending of the song where it's got where Robert starts pushing his voice, and he's really giving it at that point, and as we wind on down the road section, he's really giving everything he's got vocally there. And he's sounds like a mature man, trying to portray something that was epic in the 70s and doing a fantastic job of it. So well done, Robert Plant, when you watch this back. Come on the show and say hello to us and thumbs up. But Robert, that fantastic job, mate. And he can still do justice without a doubt. I noticed in the rehearsal DVD, he leaves little bits out of that song particularly. I think maybe not to blow his voice out, but wow, does a fantastic job. The goosebumps are flowing all through your body by this point, and you know, they finish the standing accolade they get. Did you notice that the guys in the band actually stand back and let the crowd acknowledge what they've done? And there's like a pause, like almost like a minute or so. It feels like longer, but it's like a minute. They don't even talk. The stage is dark. They just allow the crowd to absorb what's happened. And then Robert yells out, "Hey, Ahmed, we did it." You know, so obviously might have been an inside thing with Ahmed and them that never played again. And he's probably said, "Yes, you will." So I don't know what the background is there, but you know, I have to give it 100 out of 10. It's never a skip for me. The way they perform this is magic, in my opinion. Andrew.
Yeah, well, again, the analysis and offerings for us to consider is always fantastic when you have to go second or third. It can be, what's the word, Simon? Interesting, difficult,
daunting.
Look, I have to say this. You know, well done, Plant. You know, I'm going to give a bit of a, what's the word? I'm going to find the word here because I don't want to upset people. I'm going to give a preach. I'm going to give a preachment here. I'm going to give a bit of a preachment.
Preachment.
You know, this song, in my opinion, is a sacrament of rock and roll. It's the panacea for all the ills and sins of rock and roll, this song. And I dedicate this song to all my friends and brothers over the years who were stirred into sonic ecstasy listening to this song and continue to be stirred by it. It's one of my favourite songs. We've discussed this song when we've done Led Zeppelin 4, and the song remains the same. This version of it is just another stepping stone of rock and roll greatness. The solo is a visual delight, Brad and Simon. It's just when you think it can't get any better, what visually it does. And I've given this song, Simon, because it deserves to be. It's my first Brad score of this segment of the DVD. Definitely never a skip, and a mandatory piece of rock and roll that they're going to be talking about for 1,000 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yes, because it has history, doesn't it? It's such a monumental rock track that it carries that history. And as you say, I can sort of see why Plant is not that keen on doing it, because it has such a huge history to it and carries the weight of all that with it if you're going to do it. But I noticed that it's detuned. They detuned to D. They detuned down a step to which when I tried to play along for it on my 12 string, it didn't work because my 12 string is only detuned half a step, and that's like, what? But
I think they may have done that with a couple of songs.
I think so. Yeah, probably. Yeah. So that was the first time I kind of noticed it a bit. But the other things I noticed, I don't know why I keep thinking like this, but it starts off on the 6th string. And then the 6th, only partway through does he switch to the 12 string. I always think it was starting with the 12 string and then you go to the 6th string, but clearly that's not the case. I don't know why I thought that, but I think the other interesting is that John Paul Jones is on keyboards all the way through. So he does that sort of record a bit at the beginning, but clearly they decided that he would just play the previous song, this one, pretty much on keyboards. No detriment there. I think it's adds a lot to the song. The keyboards, filling it out. I think that Robert Plant, clearly because he has to engage with the song properly. Yeah, clearly squared his shoulders up and gone, come on, I've got to engage with this song. I know it's difficult for me, but that's what's going to happen. And I think he does a fantastic job of engaging with the song properly, singing it seriously and earnestly, and not, not making light of it or not trying to skate over it. And so I agree with you. I think that he does a fantastic job, because we know that not necessarily the easiest thing for him to do, but he makes it for me. The singing is what makes it. And as I said, it's very similar to the recorded version. It's about another 50 seconds longer, but pretty much, similar sort of solo. And I love the fact that the crowd sings the last line with Plant, that, really loudly. They've sort of mixed that beautifully. So you hear that. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. Never a skip. Absolutely. I've, I can bear listening to it every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much on par there, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So we're up to the epic song remains the same, and obviously every time I hear this song, it's always an epic version. It's going to be a journey. We know we're in for a treat, yeah. So this is an epic version of this song. From the minute that Jimmy Page rings out that first chord before he comes in with the syncopation chords with the D note under it, without a doubt, Jason Bonham shines on this song. John Paul Jones, he's really tight with the kick drum. He's sitting in that pocket. He's not really deviating out, but he plays some fantastic bass lines in this, reminiscent of the 73 era of sort of Zeppelin, which is something that I think they've referenced quite a bit with these when they've prepared for these shows.
Yep.
Without a doubt. And, Robert seems to be really enjoying himself in this song. He's soaking it all up. You can really watch him smiling in comparison to watching him in Stairway to Heaven. He's very focused in that song. With this song, he's having a lot of fun. He's watching all the members of the band intently. Yeah, there's one part where Jason Bonham sort of does that really big drum roll reminiscence of his late father, and you can see Robert playing Jimmy Page smiling from ear to ear. Jason is the star of the song, in my opinion, without a doubt. You can see it in the face of the three remaining members of Led Zeppelin. They're really proud, and I think his father would have been looking down upon him at this point and shining brightly because Jason really shined on this song. It was a great version of the song. I give it 10 out of 10. It's never a skip, and well done, Jason Bonham. Andrew.
Plant's still holding court, isn't he? From Stairway to Heaven, Plant is still firmly the centre of attraction here. The timing between these musicians, Brad, and the togetherness that they have as musicians on this number, it's impeccable. Nice shout out that they give to Jason too, isn't it? It's a nice shout out that they do this for him. I think this is when they introduce him as the vocalist. Is that correct, Simon?
That's right. Does back in vocals on it. Yeah.
Back in vocals. Yeah. So obviously it was a nice little shout out to that. Brad and Simon and people in the chat, this is again another example where you don't need half-naked dancing girls running around on stage to make it a spectacle. These guys here are doing it quite comfortably, albeit with a nice visual backdrop. Again, adding that emphasis and that drama that we want. And that we get. Sorry to repeat myself, but I just think it's wonderful. It's just a beautiful document of rock and roll. Nice shout out to Jason. Nice shout out to the band. Brad, I've given this a 9.5 out of 10. I love the song, but I'm happy with my 9.5, bro, and going to pass that on to the rock professor, and hopefully he's not going to be. He's not going to pull the ruler out and school me.
No, not at all. Not at all. Well, I think that it's, one of the functions of this is in the set list, isn't it? What you do after Stairway to Heaven, and that's always a tricky moment, I feel, for anybody, including Led Zeppelin. What do you play after the classic that is, Stairway to Heaven and Dazed and Confused? You kind of build it up, and you have to go somewhere after it, don't you? You have to do something after it, and I think that still with the double neck on, but a different kind of feel to it. This song, I think, I agree with you. I think the drumming is great, kind of offbeat drumming in the instrumental sections. The band is so tight by this time. They're really in the groove, and I think it's a great version. I've given it 9.5 out of 10 as well. Never a skip. I think that it's. What do you think I was going to say? 6, Andrew?
No. I was going to say that's remarkable because Ellen as well has given it 9.5 too. So you're good to see we're all on the money.
Yeah, I have to say, the shout out to Jason at the end of that. Imagine the emotions that Jason Bonham would have been feeling. Yeah, Jason would have been feeling some. He would have been overwhelmed with emotion, and for me, that just makes the whole thing even more exciting. So yeah, when they finish the song and he goes, give it up for Jason Bonham, you can just imagine, the emotion going through him. That was a really magical moment. So, but the next track, Misty Mountain Hop. Now this is the one, guys, where Robert talks about, John Bonham beforehand and his wife, and then doing, being the best Jimi Hendrix impersonators in
the Midlands, yes.
They lived and they did endless versions of Wind Cries Mary at the pub and things like that. So in his first band, but this is where he introduces Jason as the vocalist, Andrew. This song on Misty Mountain Hop. Yeah. So this is the one.
Okay. Yep, yeah. Sorry, bro. Yeah,
no,
you're right.
That's right. So this is a song, and because Jason obviously plays quite a big part in this. Now, Misty Mountain Hop for me has always been a hit and miss song. I've heard bands cover it, and it annoys me when I hear people cover it. And sometimes I've heard Zeppelin play it amazing, then I've heard Zeppelin play it, not so great, not okay sort of thing. But I have to say, I love how John Paul Jones starts off on the keyboards, and we really do see the bass pedals getting used again. But it's an unreal sound when they come in, when the drums come in and the guitars come in together. It's just fantastic, and wonderful background vocals from Jason as well. Robert's having a lot of fun in this song. He's turning around and singing with Jason. He's really enjoying it. And this is where, the visual aspect, Andrew, is so important of documenting this. You can actually see, Robert Plant, he's interacting with Jason, he's interacting with the band. And that's something that you don't pick up just in the audio version of it. But Jimmy keeps it solid on the guitar, very meat and potatoes guitar sound. He's really keeping it simple and really fat, which I love that. His solo is reminiscent of Madison Square Gardens in '73. I've mentioned that a few times now. I think they're using that as a reference point. And the visuals behind Jason in the song on the screen really sets for the mood, and it's the atmosphere. 10 out of 10 for me. It's never a skip, Andrew.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. So, the star for me on this number certainly is the keyboards. The way that the keyboards just give that dynamic, and again, to see it, and we never got to see John Paul Jones do a lot of this on previous footage, did we? Because it was like he was tucked away on the corner there, and it wasn't lit up, and you know. But now we can see him doing that. So I love that. I love that. Big smiles from the band to Brad. Look, it's a great rock and roll number. It's there's no real sort of standout moments on this for me to give it anything other than an 8 out of 10. But don't give me too much grief on that, because I just think it, you know, they do this song well, and Rock Professor.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. I think, but you know, I think you've got to have the contrast, and you've got to have the tight, you know, straightforward songs in between the epic stuff. You know, you've got to have the, you know, you can't just have peaks all the way through. It's got to have a flow to it through the set list, and through, you know, to take you on that journey between, you know, down to the last songs. And so I agree. I think that it's the sound of a band really tight but swinging. They're absolutely on the money. John Paul Jones's keyboards are really great, and give it, you know, it's a different instrumental vibe, isn't it? You know, with that main keyboard riff and Page backing it up, but you know, very much sound-wise, a bit of a contrast with the keyboards leading it and things. As you say, Brad, great melodic solo as well, but pretty much sticking to what they did, and I think that's no bad thing myself. I think that's absolutely fine, you know, doing that. I think the guitar sound great as well. I think, you know, that Page is for me the master of, you know, the guitar sound. You know, he has a great guitar sound throughout this. He understands that a lot, you know, and I know he's got a few more pedals than he used to have, but they give it a bit of a thicker sound, but it still sounds great, doesn't it? You know, when he hits a chord, it just, you know, sounds really good, you know. And it's, you know, still basically that, as I've said earlier, that Les Paul into a Marshall, an Orange, whatever, you know, that into that 412 cabs thing that makes it sound great. I too gave this an 8. I gave this an 8.5 out of 10. I think that it's, you know, it's a great version. They do it really well, and I love that kind of, they're just a tight band playing a song with a solo in it, you know. You know, but they do it so well, you know, and it's just, you know, it's really good. So 8.5 out of me for a never skip. Absolutely not.
Wonderful. Well, you know, I was considering timing you out, but okay. So for me,
shall I go and get a burger?
Yeah. Oh, geez, you're Dyson with it, Andrew. Right? You're Dyson with it. You just tippy toeing
put it down. Put it down, Mr. Walton. Put it down. Step away from the burger.
Oh God! All right, I'm going to pull it back on the tracks, guys. Kashmir. I'm going to say 3 words: magical, majestic, powerful. The first 3 things that come to my mind when I hear this song. Robert is singing fantastically on this song. Jason's solid, like his old man used to do it. He's playing exactly the same sort of thing. He's just keeping it tight in this song. There we got a bit of clickbait there from Andrew. And John Paul Jones, sonically, John Paul Jones seems like he's half the band in this song to me. It's just like he's half the band, with the sound he's creating is just massive. The middle section where Robert Plant sings the ooh section, give me goosebumps. Sounds fantastic. I don't know what else to say about this, and it has to be one of my favorite performances of the night. Sounds like they did back in the 70s. The visuals behind the band on the screen sort of take you to another place as well while the song's performing. This is the song of the night for me, Kashmir, and the band look like they're having so much fun and they're soaking it up during this song. 1,000 out of 10 for me, never a skip. Andrew.
Gosh, guys, we've have we discussed this song? Yes, we have. We've discussed the song.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. So I just want to just bring people up to up to okay. So for a long time when I was a young guy, I skipped this song. I skipped the song because I didn't get what the song was about. I was clearly listening and looking and wanting the Rockers, and it wasn't until maybe 5 years after discovering Zepp, that I started listening to the song and starting to work it out, Brad, and appreciating it for what it was. And then I think we started getting a lot of information, Simon, coming through about how important the song was for the band, from the band. And we've discussed this before, haven't we? When this information has come through, it's had an effect on us as fans, and we go back and we listen to it, Brad, a little bit differently, because, Clapton has said the song meant something to him or Page or whatever. And, when Plant was talking about this song being the essence of what Led Zeppelin is, resonated within me, and I went back and listened to it and, got it, Simon. I got it, it's become, I think, for a lot of Led Zeppelin fans, maybe the head or the tail on Stairway to Heaven, for a lot of good reasons. I agree with you, Brad. I think the fact that they've left this for the proper ending of the set, as opposed to a couple of the curtain calls, is a testament to what and how the band see the song, don't they? I've given this song 2 Brad scores. I'm not going to talk about the performance other than echo what Brad and Simon have been saying. You have to go and watch this. This is a masterpiece in what the rock professor calls dynamics. And I do want to add one little thing before I pass it over to the rock professor. Isn't it just wonderful seeing Jimmy Page, this grey-haired man, sweating profusely with his guitar, and he's doing that Jimmy Page pout with his lips. Oh. I love it. I love it, Simon.
Leaning into it. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
it's
2 Brad.
It's one of the 2 Brad scores.
You've redeemed yourself, Andrew.
Thank you, brother.
Well, yes, I mean it's I think that it has such I'd say a few things, but one, it has such a fantastic groove. The groove that it is. For me, it's basically a groove song. That ascending guitar line. And
Wow,
it's epic and hypnotic as well. Absolutely epic. And so dramatic. I mean, it has a drama, doesn't it? That rising thing is that they understand about making dramatic. How making guitar riffs and guitar things dramatic. So they have a drama and a weight to them that sets up an atmosphere.
Band, eh?
Not bad for a blues band. Yes, that's a little old band from London. Yes. So I think that's that they do that in a way that a few others do it. That having that power and having that drama and that groove, that hypnotic groove. So that when Plant comes in and sings over the top, he's adding to that drama and giving it a visual picture with his vocals and things. And I find it mesmerizing. You sit down, you put it on, you close your eyes, you are transported in a way that that I think is amazing. I think Plant sings extraordinarily well on it. I think he really, as I say, he knows what the limitations of his voice are, but it still sounds epically strong from him. And I think, which is fantastic. I think Jason Bonham's drumming is epic on it as well. It has to be epic to drive it along. And
sure.
And the keys from John Paul Jones give it the drama and give it the the melodic thing to back up Page's guitar. And I agree with you that when he just leans back on his kind of his back foot and playing Jimmy Page when he's doing it, is a thrill sublime for me. And I noted it's got a gong in it, and what song is not improved by having a gong in it? It's clearly. I mean, it's one of I mean, I know we say this a few times, but it is one of the greatest Zeppelin songs, and as such, can only be given a Brad score. It's in the rules. Can only be a Brad score. Can't give it a 10 out of 10. Not enough.
I was just about to say anything less than a Brad score on this song is timeout.
Hey, Johnny Heartbreaker.
No,
morning, Johnny.
I agree with you,
morning, Jim.
On that song.
Yeah,
that has to be the standout performance of the night, without a doubt.
Yeah. So it's 100 out of 10. Brad score.
Hey, Jim.
Well, I gave it 1,000 or 10 or whatever. And at the time, Andrew gave it double Brad score. So we're on par. Yeah, so that's good. Yeah. So,
yes.
Anything less than that, I would have timed you out, guys. Because I would have said maybe not worthy to be on the show. Yeah. So you need to.
No, page 47 of the rules of the British Electric Blues show say, when discussing Kashmir, it will always be a Brad score. It will not be a 10 out of 10 or anything else. It will be a Brad score, or indeed a double Brad score, if you feel so inclined. That's on page 47 of the rules of our show, okay? Just saying that.
Well, that's the rock professor's rules. They're going to stick to them.
Oh, dear.
So that obviously is one of the that officially is the last song, and then they obviously do 2 encores. So the first encore, they come out and Robert Plant's a bit cheeky and says, "What do you think, Dave? Do you think that was directed towards Dave Grohl? Because Dave was going, and there was all this stuff about Dave Grohl potentially, wanting to be the drummer of the night and da 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 da. Was that potentially directed?"
I don't know.
Grohl, or maybe someone in the chat or someone watching this later might be able to enlighten us on that. Because I remember around the time Dave Grohl was like saying he wanted to do it, and people were saying, "Oh, Dave should do it," and I mean that just wasn't going to happen. I mean, you got Jason Bonham there. Why would you get Dave Grohl in? I have nothing against Dave Grohl as a drummer, and I love Nirvana. I love his drumming in Foo Fighters, but why on earth would you get Dave Grohl in to play in a Zeppelin reunion when Jason Bonham's there? So
correct.
I thought that was very cheeky of Robert Plant, and that's the sort of person he is. He would do that, and that's something you would do, Andrew. I know. You would do.
I look forward to this. I look forward to Andrew attempting Whole Lot of Love. I think.
No, he's tongue in cheek. I could tell Andrew would walk out and say, "Did you like that In-N-Out burger? Did you?"
Stop that
anyway, I'll pull it back on the rails. So obviously that intro riff. I mean, as soon as you hear that, you know what song you're in for. You know you're in for a bit of a treat. Look. Robert's singing fantastically in this song. He's really pushing. He's really giving everything he has. I don't think he could have sung it any better or any worse. I mean, I've heard him do worse versions in the 70s of this song than he did in this. So he did a great job. And it's quite a vocal song, guys. This is a very vocal song. John Paul Jones and Jimmy, they're really tight. One thing I do notice about Jason on this song is he does try to do very similar fills and very similar playing to what John Bonham would do live. Like he's kept it like that live John Bonham feel, which is something that because it's not a straight beat on this song. It's got that skip beat. So he does it so very close to what his father would do live, in my opinion. That middle section, I call it the freak out section. Yeah, the freak out, far out.
Yeah.
There's some fantastic call and responses there from Jimmy and Robert. There's that trance performance guitar with the automatic tuning system on the Les Paul. He presses it and you know, and then ooh, and then they start the clone response thing. Then he obviously goes to the theremin, whatever the theremin.
Yeah, theremin.
Yeah, theremin. Sorry. Look, it's really tight. It's not the greatest version of Whole Lot of Love, I will say that, by far. Robert singing fantastic. That's the highlight for me on this song. I gave it 8 out of 10. Never a skip. Andrew.
Yeah. Look, I'm not going to quibble with you, bro, on that because I agree with a lot of what you've said. I'm going to add this though, Simon. I'm going to add this. I'd be happy to switch the DVD off after Kashmir. I'd be quite happy not to watch the next two songs on this package, you know, because I think right up to Kashmir they've done a great job. And I suppose one of the good things, though, Brad, about this is that, you know, this, again, is one of the great things about the concert is, bang, it's finished, they go off, the crowd yells, and they come back out for more, you know, and you know, you're going to get a couple of numbers, which is always great. You know, that's fantastic. Look, it's not a standout great rock and roll song that's going to make it a Brad score for me. I do love Page's voodoo, though. I love that when he gets into that voodoo thing. You know, I love it. You know, whatever he's doing. Simon reckons he's playing an instrument, but I reckon he's casting spells. You know, so wishing everybody a good trip home. You know, being the man that he is. Look, I too gave this a 9 out of 10. I couldn't give it more than that, Brad. Other than Simon, that it's just you know, the guys and the band just getting together. Certainly, I think the next song is a reflection of that, and they're just looking at each other and perhaps maybe just doing it for themselves. 9 out of 10, Simon.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that it's, you know, when you're sitting there and you're doing a set list. I think Jim may have accidentally blocked Ellen out for some reason. I don't know. Sure, she wasn't really leaving rude messages, but it's quite funny. But no, that's fine. That's all right. So anyway, so I think that, you know, that it's one of those songs that they have to do, don't they? They can't not do a Whole Lot of Love because it's one of their, you know, complete classics. Another one. You know, I think it's got that sort of thunderous beginning that they're going to. So they sound fantastic. I love the kind of, I think the sort of spooky, dramatic, freeform stuff that Jimmy Page does. Yeah, again, he's not afraid of making noise rather than melody. You know, it's that with the theremin and stuff. You know, it's, you know, I think there's great drama in that, and great, you know, and great texture, and you know, and I think, you know, that when you do a gig and when you play, you know, a dramatic effect, you know, doing songs that, you know, contrast with the previous one or whatever it is, you know, that I think those things are really important. I think it's a vocal tour de force from Robert Plant, kind of thing, and I think he does a magnificent job of doing it. You know, as I say, you know, I've said it a few times on this thing. Yeah, I think he does really, really well on this. You know, that you know, he doesn't blow it, and he doesn't, you know, he doesn't embarrass himself, and he doesn't, you know, still makes it sound the way that it should sound. And so, yes, I love that kind of detuning the guitar with the buttons. That's amazing. That is. It's and as Jonas says, it is the mother of all riffs. Absolutely, you know. Yeah,
first
one of the most
first Zeppelin riff I learned to play.
Epic riffs of all time. So, you know, but you know, I think that it's a great rendition of it. I gave it a 9 out of 10 and never a skip. But yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not, to me, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not the greatest of Whole Lot of Love for me.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Again, we're out of money.
Oh dear.
We come to the second encore. It's great to see them do the, you know, the nod and the bow to the crowd, and they walk off and they come back on again. and this is the second encore for Rock and Roll. And Jason keeps it very reminiscent of his father on this song, for the most part. Jimmy Page, Jason, and John Paul Jones, they sound massive. The song starts off, sounds massive, yeah. Robert sings, he's giving it everything he's got to hit those notes, on those high notes, like he used to do it. There's smiles on stage. During the song, they're having fun. Yeah, they're really having fun. For me, Jason seems most focused, while the other three are jamming and having fun and just reminiscing on old times. And obviously, in this song, they realize they've climbed that mountain, they're at the top, and they just let their hair down literally and letting it go and having fun. And they did a great job. Again, I give this one 8 out of 10, never a skip. Andrew.
I'm okay. Is there any coincidence that they ended this concert, this gig, with this song? When you go back and have a look at the song, remains the same. This song was the song that opened that package up, and we get this song as the end of Led Zeppelin for us. And when I made that connection, a couple of days ago, guys, and I went and watched it again today, it's what's the word, Simon? Melancholy. A little bit of melancholy set in for me. So,
right, yeah.
Because I know that we're going to talk in our conclusion about why and what could have if they took this on the road. So this kind of set the pace for me that they weren't going to take this on the road. So and maybe this is something that means something for the fans and certainly for the band, because these guys are smart guys. They don't do anything. Nothing happens in as a coincidence. These guys have a lot of meaning in what they do and their packages and their music. There's more to it than just the song. So I think there's a lot there for us in them picking this song. So I too, Brad, gave this song an 8 when. Because it's not the greatest version of rock and roll, but to bookend it all and the sentiment and the melancholy that I feel, I've given it the 2 points to make it a 10 out of 10 because of that, and certainly never a skip. Rock Professor.
I agree. Oh, well, yes. The thing that struck me is they're a true band from the 60s, aren't they? So they end with a rock and roll song. Slight difference, they made it themselves. But, how many, I can remember how many times bands in the early 70s would be doing Johnny B. Good or Chuck Berry or something, at the end kind of thing, their own versions of it. So I think it's entirely in keeping with a band that comes from 1968 that they're ending their set with a rock and roll song, on that kind of thing. I think it's one last kind of, for me, I didn't feel the melancholy. I thought it was one last celebration, basically, that kind of high energy, high octane rock and roll song at the end to leave you on a high. I gave it an 8 out of 10 as well. I didn't give it any more than that. I thought it was a fine version of it, but not epic. But it's not supposed to be epic. It's supposed to do leave you on a rock and roll zing, and they did what they were supposed to do. So I think it's great. But 8 out of 10 for me. Never a skip though. Never a skip. It was good.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful how they ended on a song. But I think 1980 at Nebworth they finished with rock and roll from memory as well.
Did they? Yeah.
Pretty sure. I'd have to check that set list. But,
I'll check.
But so they used to end with rock and roll as well, where they used to start with it in the early 70s, like in 73. So, but a wonderful DVD, Blu-ray, whatever you've got it on, and I'm glad we gave it the attention that it deserves, guys, because it is a monumental piece of history, and they ended on a song with a drum solo from Jason Bonham. So there you go. And Jason does justice to his own playing on that solo. He doesn't try to play like his father on the solo. He does his own thing. And within character, though, he plays it within the theme of the song. But I will say this. I've played rock and roll in a number of cover bands, and not many drummers get the start of that right because it skips to come in. And Jason gets it right. So well done, Jason.
Yeah, of course. Just the Nebworth set list, Brad. It was the first encore.
Okay.
They did Rock and Roll's the first one, and then they did Whole Lot of Love and Communication Breakdown. So in effect, Rock and Roll and Communication Breakdown kind of interchangeable. It's the same, some very similar types of songs. So and Whole Lot of Love before it. So I think that clearly they're doing the same thing with Rock and Roll instead of Whole Lot of Love, but a similar thing.
Yeah.
So so all in all, epic return to form, I would say.
Yes. Andrew, what are your thoughts?
It's in my top 3 DVDs. Yes, certainly. It's just been a pleasure, Brad, going through watching this for the last 2 weeks, probably 8 times through, and analysing it and taking into account what you guys have said. What a document. Brad, I've got to say this, though. After watching this, I'm not surprised that they didn't take this on the road. I'm not surprised, bro, after watching, especially watching Paige at the end.
Yeah.
But aren't we glad, though? Aren't we glad, Brad and Simon, that they did it? Aren't we glad that we're here in 2022, end of July, beginning of August, talking about this?
Yeah. I have mixed feelings of, should they have taken it on the road or not. And one side of me selfishly wish they had have taken it on the road. The one side of me thinks that was just an opening show. They could have got better and better and better, and could have, got road chops up and what I call, match fit for touring. They could have got there. Then there's the other side of me that goes, maybe that's that wasn't possible. Robert Plant saw the writing on the wall, and I think he knew that they might not have been able to pull it off in a touring situation, because touring is quite taxing, especially, if you're to tour this thing around the world, it would have to be arenas. It couldn't be anything smaller. Although, the other one side of me goes, well, big deal. You'd fly in luxury, you stay in luxury hotels, but as Eric Clapton would allude to, he's not a big fan of touring anymore because he just feels too old for it. So that there's two sides of me that wish they had done it, and glad they didn't, if that makes sense.
And then you've got the Stones on one hand saying that you can do it too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to knock the Rolling Stones guys, but the intensity of Zeppelin is a lot more full on than Stones. I'll give. I mean, Mick Jagger gives an intense performance all night. Give him credit where credit's due, but it's not a taxing gig for Keith Richards or Ronnie Wood by any stretch of the imagination, because there's 2 of them.
Correct. And Mick isn't singing anymore. He's rapping, basically. He's rapping, so you know he can do 4 concerts, a month, or 6 concerts a month. So yeah. I agree. Yeah.
I think that's right, and I take my hat off to them in many ways for not doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that there are probably quite a lot of reasons. I think one of them, for me, one of the main reasons, that clearly Plant, is the prime mover of somebody who's moved on, has he's had his own solo career, had some clearly some stuff planned out for the future on his solo career, and got into that sort of groove of making his own music. And as he said clearly, going back to those songs that he wrote when he was 19, it was hard for him. He doesn't really recognize the other person singing those things as somebody's 19 can be a bit, I think as a one-off, to do it in as a charity gig to remember in the memory of Ahmed Ertegun, I think that's a brilliant thing to do. I think leaving it as a one-off thing was absolutely the right thing to do. And I think that that the other thing I wonder about is that clearly that Led Zeppelin is made up of 2 camps. It's made up of Page and Jones, who were the cosmopolitan guys from London, the session musicians, the guys used to doing it. And it's made up of 2 guys from the Midlands who played in bands together, Plant and Bonham. And I think, that clearly that link between Plant and Bonham and Bonham's family is really strong. Yeah. And I wonder if that Plant didn't really want to go on tour if it wasn't going to be with John Bonham, because of that kind of that magic that those 4 musicians had, I think is probably unique. And I think Plant probably feels it more than maybe Page and Jones do.
Yeah.
And they would do it because they're a bit more used to, we get another musician and get somebody else in. Whereas for Plant, it's, that sort of gang mentality, that thing we've talked about on here a lot, the 4 guys together, that's the band, and if one of you's not doing it, then it's not quite the same. Even with Jason, and Jason does an epic job on this, to pull it off and do it. But I wonder if there's that link with, that Plant won't do it, partly because Bonham's not alive, and it should be Led Zeppelin. If they were ever going to do a tour, it should be with John Bonham and not anyone else. And not, it's a nuanced thing. We wouldn't notice, but
that's why they broke up when John Bonham passed away. And I mean,
precisely.
Robert Plant's come out saying just recently, I think it might have been a podcast or something, and I read the transcript of it, and he mentioned that he lost his best friend, and it was a very hard thing for him to deal with moving forward. Like he drove John Bonham to the rehearsals and left without him. So that was very hard for him, and he still misses him dearly, apparently. So there's all these little things. But am I correct, gentlemen, in saying that John Paul Jones and Jimmy Page wanted to continue and kept rehearsing with Jason?
Yeah, I think they did want to. I did think that, I think that's true. And I think that particularly for Jimmy Page, I've said it on here before, and I'll say it again, that Led Zeppelin is his band. He's never really managed to recreate that Led Zeppelin thing in any of the other projects that he's done, has he? Yeah, I know he did Page and Plant. There's a different thing. He did Coverdale, and go on, Andrew.
Did he want to tour, or just maybe take it to the States, Simon, and just maybe do
Oh well. I don't know what I don't know whether I've no idea about what the extent of that tour would have been. Whether it was just a stateside thing, but it would have been very difficult to ignore. The Far East or Australia, New Zealand. I think those things are, just to go to America, I think would have been a bit short, really. I mean, I agree with you. When you get into the older you get, the less easy it is to produce those things. And I think, Andrew, given what you said about Mick, Jagger, that that's one of the most, clearly they're all important elements, but Plant being, on voice and having the voice and being able to do it is clearly one of the major things. And if he's, if it's going to blow out, or it's not going to happen, or it's going to go, and he's going to be reduced to, a sort of croak, then it really isn't going to be very good. And I'm sure none of them, particularly Plant, would have gone out, wanted to go out on a sort of critical bad note by saying, well, Plant's lost it, and and he can't do it anymore, and or the voice is gone, and and he do some concerts for the sake of it. I don't think they don't need the money.
Robert Plant is no David Lee Roth.
Well,
well, yes.
What do you think of the rumours that they were going around of Jonesy, Page, and Jason auditioning singers? They got Steven Tyler in, apparently.
Yeah.
Miles Kennedy. They got Miles Kennedy, from the Bridge and Slash and the Conspirators. So and amongst the other ones, I'm sure they got in other singers as well. So, but
I don't think it's got the magic to it, Brad. I think that,
probably wasn't going to continue without Robert Plant. That was the catalyst, I think. So
maybe what they could have done, is take it on the road. We don't know. We're just surmising here, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe they could have taken it on the road and not necessarily called it Led Zeppelin. Queen did it, didn't they? And with our mate from Free, didn't they? Paul Rogers. So, and Queen didn't need to do it for the money. They just did it because they wanted to get on the road, Brad. Get out there and just play music, bro. So, if the band had done that, would the critics have? Would maybe they would have panned them? I don't know, but fans like us would have turned around and said, "Well, this is what they wanted to do." Yeah. So,
your final chance to see them. I think that commercially, I think it was a cert, but I don't think that Led Zeppelin, beyond a certain point, have ever thought purely commercially.
No.
It's always got to be the right thing. It's the right thing. There's the right setting. There's the right thing. And if the touring is not the right setting, then they won't do it. One of them, and I think Plant, as I say, Plant particularly, I think would have, the strain on his voice. I mean, apparently, I got some notes about the recording, but it does say that some aspects of the recording were fixed, including, for instance, in Kashmir, during which Plant admitted he ran out of steam vocally. So even on that one-off thing, doing an epic song like Kashmir, and that actually they had to do a bit of vocal fixing in that to just maintain it to the end. Not that we've noticed, but I think that if even on that one-off thing with a month's worth of rehearsals, and look at if you're still running out of steam on Kashmir and stuff, that's possibly a warning sign that you shouldn't be wandering off and and doing it as a tour. If you feel like that, I'm with them all the way, basically.
I think Robert had obviously forged such a strong and let's say fortunate solo career after Zeppelin that his voice, he was singing differently in his solo career. He was distancing himself from the Percy of Led Zeppelin. He was being himself, just not pushing hard. Especially at the start in the 80s, his first couple of solo records, I think he was trying to do more of a Phil Collins thing more than
it's an 80s thing, isn't it? One of those 80s things that.
And then obviously later in life, he's forged himself as more of a folk singer or more of a different thing than a rock god. The rock god of Zeppelin.
Much more controlled and much more able to carry it on by not doing that kind of can't do that screechy singing, but and I don't know if you saw his set at Glastonbury this year with Alison Krauss. which was fantastic. You know, he sings really well. You know, he's still got a voice, but clearly it's not. You know, as you say, it's not the Percy voice of old. There's nowhere near that. You know, and he did he do? I can't remember what he did. He did a Led Zeppelin song, but reimagined it. You know, I think it might have been Rock and Roll actually. Was it Black Dog? I can't remember. But you know, did a really good version of it because he amalgamated into what him and Alison Krauss were doing. You know, and kind of made it swing and kind of slowed it down, so that he doesn't have to sing it. You know, in the same way at all. You know, and I think that's that's to his credit that he knows. I'm sure a part of him and the others know that that leave the crowd wanting more is the way to do it. You know, and keeping that, what if is a much better than, well, yeah, but they weren't as, they weren't that great, when it got to gig 10 and everything's a bit, it wasn't that great. It's like, that's not a legacy that you want, they would want to perpetuate. That's a legacy they would not want to, So if you go out and you go do one thing, it goes really well, you produce a fantastic DVD, soundtrack. It sounds brilliant. They sound like they're really on it, sorted it all out, and then you say no more, don't do any more, because this only enhances their reputation. I think a tour might not have enhanced it in the same way. Myself.
Yeah, well, it's a good observation, and you're probably right, really. So
I am the rock professor. Sometimes right, sometimes wrong, but always certain.
Yeah. We understand his opinion.
Opinion, of course, it's opinion. Hugely well informed.
Brad is so respectful of the rock professor. Good on you, bro. Look. I agree, and I think that's one of the great things about getting together and talking with fans and ourselves, isn't it? This idea of what if, and and it's always good. We're not going to steer away from these discussions and debates, aren't we, on this channel? We're going to offer our own opinions of what could or should or may have happened or what Brad wanted to see. That's what it's about, isn't it?
Selfishly, I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Selfishly, I wanted to see it.
Yeah.
And even if they did it in a rehearsal room in front of me, I would have been happy with that. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah. Whereas selfishly, I want to be the only person on this show that's seen Led Zeppelin.
Yes. I got halfway there. Simon. I got patient plan. Go away.
For that comment, yeah. Get in the corner, cheeky boy.
See ya.
But seriously, I agree with. I think Johnny Heartbreaker's, hitting the nail on the head. Seems Plant had moved on entirely from the Led Zeppelin. Gave one final performance for their legacy only because Jason was there. I think that's as true a words as I could have said. Yes, okay. Walton. Yes, in the naughty corner. Honestly.
All right.
Oh, I'm getting hungry.
Who's picking the album for us to dissect, dilute, and the rock professor?
I did East West the week before last. Oh, frankly,
it's yours, Brad. It's your Brad. Brad. Yeah, it's yours.
Is that coming around quick, isn't it?
It does.
Me. 4 weeks ago for you, because we had 2 weeks of Mr. Walton's pick.
There is. That's Brad's Instagram, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to find out the album that we're going to do next week, Brad will release it there, and we'll do something here on the channel here for it. But it's your pick, Brad.
Okay. No worries. Well,
the finger of doom is pointing at you.
You'll have to leave it with me because I've got a few in mind, so I've got to decide on which one.
No problem. We look forward to that. It's been a pleasure hanging out with my co-host as usual. I've really enjoyed doing this this segment with you guys. I think it's we do love the Zoso show. And we do like the fact that people come back and watch our videos and leave some really, really cool comments on our videos. If you guys want to help the channel, if you guys are in here and you contribute to us here in the chat, do us a favor and please, and go back and put some comments on some of our videos, because YouTube like that too. YouTube like comments, and that will help get our videos into some feeds as well, and that's going to help the channel. If you can do that for us, we'll be grateful.
100%. And always it's wonderful to share the screen with you two gentlemen and everyone in the chat. But thank you to everyone who watches this later. We really do appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
And we're getting close to 5. Getting close to 5.
Yeah, very close to 5,000 subscribers. So an amazing achievement, milestone for us. So thank you to everyone who's subscribed and supports us. It's really appreciated by us. Really cool.
Yeah. We're
amazing.
I'm hungry.
Yeah. See you next week, kids. Oh, so I'm going to say goodbye to everybody in the chat before we go. So Johnny Heartbreaker, James Backer. Oh, by the way, Andrew, you might have to unblock Ellen, because I think Jim's accidentally banned her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he had a bad case of slippery finger, and I think he's banned her.
Oh, hold on. Hold on. Then let me see if I can do that now. Hold on.
You have a look while I go through. Mike Rogers.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike. Good to see you. Jim. Slippery fingers. Jonas Halberg. Thank you, Jonas. Well, thanks for joining in. Yes, Ellen got hidden by Jim accidentally. It's quite funny, but and Robert Ranford and Johnny. We've got and Ellen as well. We'll get you back, Ellen. Don't worry. Gret Zeppelin. Crappy Luxury. Crappy. So thanks for that, and Arvin as well, and Tim Thomas. Thanks, guys, for joining. I think that's pretty much everyone. Under the Bus Network. Yeah, thank you. I'm not quite sure whether that was Jay or somebody, but so thanks for joining and leaving a comment. So I think hopefully I got everybody. Hopefully I didn't miss you guys anyone's names, but yeah. So thank you everyone, and we'll see you next week. And in the meantime, Mr. Walton will be unblocking Ellen.
So Ellen, are you still there?
Ellen, Johnny Bracco, Johnny Heartbreaker's unhidden her. So thanks, Johnny, for doing that. Fantastic.
Yeah, I've just unhidden her too, so she should be.
Oh, good.
She should be able
unhidden.
to make a comment.
Send her a message, Brad, saying, apologising.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. If Johnny's hidden, that should work. She should be okay.
Yeah, should be all right. Yes.
And what I'll do is I'll add her as a mod, so she
idea.
can't get accidentally.
She can't get banned by Jim.
accidentally. So let her know, bro, that she's a mod now, and she should be okay.
Yeah. Protect herself from Jim.
We're out of here.
Oh dear.
That's it.
Tremendous. All right, guys. Take care, everyone in the chat. Oh yeah, she's back. Look, yes, she is back. Hooray!
All right. Okay.
Hooray.
Cool. You're a mod.
Good work.
You're a mod. Where are we?
Oh dear.
Bye-bye.
Take care.